Well, good morning, everybody. I hope you're having a lovely start to your day. I tell you what, I've got a big smile on my face because I haven't worked with Katrina. Hello, Katrina.
Hello.
We were saying good morning. I haven't worked with you in months.
Months. It is months. It is months.
Well, I'm looking forward to this. How have you been?
Great.
Busy?
Really good. So busy.
Coming up with new designs.
A really busy year last year. Yeah, really busy.
Good. Genuinely, I'm so happy you are a part of Hochanda because you offer something different and it's lovely to see, and we were talking about this Good Morning Hochanda, but the progression of Rowandean and how you've just grown and grown. Now, if you think about your designs, how many designs you've got in your catalogue is incredible.
I know.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. When we look back, because this is our beginning of our 5th year with Hochanda.
Wow.
So, you know, we've met some great people over that time. And more when you go places, they say, you know, everybody watches it.
One thing I would say, if you're on social media, please follow Rowandean. I know that Instagram now, you're starting to do a lot more Instagram, so I follow you guys on Instagram. And also on Facebook as well, and especially if you get any of the projects and the kits, send pictures because you love to see that.
Oh, there's a whole gallery of pictures.
Good.
It's fantastic.
We're going to start here, Katrina, because we've got some beautiful, beautiful organza. Now, I've got to tell you, we're already getting busy for this because you were shopping before the start of the show, which is a good sign. Now, why did you want to bring us this organza today? Well,
fabulous range of colours to work with. I mean, these are the colours that we actually put in the kits. But sometimes you've got a project where you want to use larger amounts. Then you can create a lovely design with more texture, different shapes. You know, it's just such a versatile thing. But then they look lovely when they're like that, when the light's shining on them.
That iridescence that you get from them, they are stunning, and the quality as well. So look, not all organza is the same, and you know the difference when you pick it up. And this is soft. It is a really nice organza. It's not scratchy.
It's great. It's great to work with, and it cuts well and it tears very well. So
do our techniques with the heat.
You can melt it out. So there are lots and lots of possibilities.
I mean, $10.99, and you are getting 10 large pieces of organza. I've got to tell you that 10% of the stock has already gone. That gives you an indication of how popular we are for this. But when you're looking at it there, seeing that beautiful myriad of colours, the iridescence that you're getting from them, I'm not surprised that it is busy, because what it does, it adds a dynamic to your work, that colour wash, and what makes Rowandean so distinctive.
I think it's almost like painting with the thread and painting with the fabrics, which is just fabulous.
Well, I mean, just behind us, there's a good example of how you can use your organza. And before I met you, Katrina, I would never in a million years have thought to incorporate my organza into my embroidery work. This is stunning. Well,
it can make it 3D. You can distort it and fray it. It's just fabulous. You could wear it. You could wear that. You know.
We've got to move on. We're going to go to our first kit now. This is our Bluebells and Wild Garlic Lovely.
Lovely.
Now, you don't get the frame. This is just for display purposes. But first thing that jumps out at me, look at all those lovely threads that you're getting. So you get all those beautiful colours coming in. It is a full kit, Katrina. So we're getting the organza in there. We've got a printed canvas, which is important.
The cotton's printed, and then you get another little piece of organza that is white, that is a slightly heavier type of organza, and that has the print. So the motif on the edge, you stitch that just the same, and then you can apply that, and it makes it look 3D, which is great.
So there we go. There's that. Oh, and this is what you were just alluding to. That's the print on the actual organza to create the motif in there as well. Beautiful, really, really nice, and a lovely design too. Where did you get your inspiration for this?
Well, I mean, this is just lovely. A few years ago, our garden had lots of bluebells in, and then just close by, if you go to a bluebell wood, the smell, the aroma, the colours are just fabulous. So that's what I wanted to create in this little design.
Because the Romans used to grow garlic by the roadside.
Yes, and it's a really nice smell.
Nice.
Yeah.
Details on your screen. $13.99 is your price. 215448 your item number. I mean, how beautiful is that? Isn't that nice? Now we're going to move on. This is such a picture, and this is why I love your work, because it's like a snapshot, this beautiful scenes that you just wish you were there.
I know, winter fields. So this is what we call a chunky design. All right, so that we're using knitting yarns, we're using lots of beads, lots of texture, but it's all stitched, and that's quite relaxing to do, to complete a whole picture just with one stitch.
And it will build up very quickly, I would imagine.
Very quickly. You've got a range of textures in there. and then the mohair just to create those grasses on the edge there. Quite but quite gentle colours. I mean, I think really, if you looked outside now, they're the colours of now, aren't they? Really. Very
earthy, natural colours coming through, and it's working with the different threads as well. That chunkier thread to give it a different dynamic. And of course, you've got the printed fabric in there, and look. This is interesting because we're working with the little wooden beads as well.
I think they fit the style, that countryside look. I think they
so we
go
thread
well.
around. We thread around that.
So yeah, and you're going to create a bit of texture in the foreground there.
Yeah.
And because it's chunky, you can add as many beads, or you can wrap them with threads as well.
Katrina, it's a beautiful scene. $29.95 is your price. 274-728 your item number. Now this is nice, nettles in hedgerow.
This is a good way of using organza. It's quite a quick project to do, you know, if you're going away out for a couple of days in the next few weeks. It's a great project to travel with.
It's very, I mean, lovely. The colours, the first thing that strikes me are the colours, but also those nettles are stunning.
And they're great in the garden, and they're good for the wildlife.
Yeah.
It's a textured thread.
Keep the kids away.
It's a textured thread, a variegated thread. But I think the bees just add that bit of sparkle.
Yeah, I really like that. I mean, for $13.99, are you kidding? Look at that, great price. Everything you needed, and these are self-contained kits, so everything you needed apart from the display hoops, but we have got those actually on our website, I think, because you bring us those display hoops. We'll talk about that later on. But I mean, stunning. Okay, we got to move on. We're going to go to our next kit, Snowdrops.
They're beautiful.
Everyone loves Snowdrops.
Everybody loves them, and there are so many different varieties.
Wow.
But really, this is just creating the background. Again, this is organza, so 2 layers of organza, and then really, it's all straight stitch. A couple of stem stitch there, but actually it's quite a dramatic picture.
Do you know what really allows this to pop though, is having that darker background, and you really appreciate all the detail from your stitches. I think that is a beautiful piece. For $13.99, everything you need, your thread, your organza, your printed design on the fabric. Already getting busy for this option, 569-188 your item number. Just seeing it here, that is instantly dramatic. So you imagine having that, I mean, in your home, it would go in any room.
It would.
It is beautiful. And I would imagine so many viewers at home, because you are popular, and we were saying this earlier on, or I was saying, that I can see that people, once they buy one of your kits, I would imagine they'd come back and buy another one. So hanging them up in the home would look stunning.
It's great. Or even, I think that one would look great as an evening bag, you know, worked in satins, and that would look quite stunning, wouldn't it? Yeah, a little bit different.
I like where your mind's at.
Yeah.
All right, as we carry along, now this is your midnight garden. That's nice.
This is a style that I really like. I really like the display. It's the display your work in the hoop, but it's such an easy project to do. And I mean, I just love the tweed as well. So,
but there's so many layers of detail going on.
It's the colours, isn't it?
Should we talk about this tweed? Because I mean, it is a beautiful tweed, and it's woven especially for you and the kids.
That's right. It's woven for us. We've had it. The company we've been with well over 30 years, so we've been working with. They know us very well. But I think it lends itself to stitching with textured threads.
Really does.
You know, especially in the foreground there's some mohair yarns, and obviously a few bugle beads just to catch the light. You know, that sort of evening colours, if you like.
You can see that just pop. Oh, I love it. I really like that. $19.95 is your price. If you could imagine making your own midnight garden and then displaying it in your home. 539-024 your item number. Now, lupins.
This is a little think about summer for a little bit, because the colour, it is. It's great to work with colours when there isn't much around, you know. So another use of organza, just to create the background. Little pieces of organza there, secured with a couple of French knots. But a really nice sort of garden scene, lupins.
That is...
Looks, you know, any flower that's like with a spire looks great in stitching.
Katrina, that is stunning. I mean, that is absolutely breathtaking. Having the colour behind as well, and it's exactly, you described it perfectly, because it is, at the moment, we're in that season, it is a bit dreary, we're all desperate for a bit of colour. Look at that, the stitch detail, having the organza behind as well. For $12.59, come on, but I think that is an utter bargain. for £12.59 if you're a Freedom member, or £13.99 even if you're not a Freedom member. You're getting everything that you need. But it's, look, why do we craft? And this is really important here. Forget that we are a shopping TV channel. We craft because we want to do something we enjoy. The enjoyment of doing that, well worth, what, £13.99?
Absolutely, it's the relaxation.
Yeah.
And that you can just drift off into your project and all the worries of the day just disappear. So that's the beauty of stitching. You don't need a great big room to work your stitching. You just sit down and chill, you know. I
really like that. 438560 item number, and this next one, oh, come and look at this. The hens are. Now, instantly, it's got that rustic charm to it. And this was inspired from one of your first workshops.
That's right. Our workshop was at Charing Green Farm in Derbyshire.
But and the hens look so realistic.
The hens were just there all the time.
I love that. And this is something else. It's kind of like a unique signature that I associate with yourself, Katrina, is having the detail on the outside as well. And it kind of draws you in. So you've got your scene and then your detail there.
That's the bit that I like there. I like, you know, if I'm walking in the countryside, I like the edge of the road, you know, and that it takes your eye into the picture as well.
Yeah, really nice. 2 flexi payments here of £24.48, 998865 your item number. But look, let's think about this, because when you consider what you are getting, I mean, absolute wealth of goodies to build up this design, but ultimately, once you have got it, I mean, something like this. I was in and we have discussed this before, but I like to pop into sort of art galleries. You know, you're in the town centre and you can go in art galleries. And I was in London, and I was seeing the price of some works of art, ridiculous, and they were so sloppy. I was looking at they didn't seem there was any particular skill to them. It was just someone's just splashed a bit of paint. Something like that, the joy of making it and then displaying it. Now, you have that in your home, it's going to be a talking point, guaranteed.
Absolutely, and the fact that you've actually stitched it, that means a lot to the people you're with. So
it's an heirloom. It is an heirloom.
And then when you stitch something, sometimes it's nice to sit back and admire it as well.
Oh, totally.
You know, you should be proud. You know, enjoy the stitching.
Yeah. So there we go. You've seen everything. You can also get ahead on our website as well. Got some other items that are proving popular. Have a look at this. Our play around pack. So always popular whenever we bring them to you. You've got 2 different options. £17.99. You've got your cotton. I'm just going to show you here, and then we've got the tweed. So have a look, see what works for you. But I have to say, whenever we bring the play around packs, and that's something now, Katrina's been bringing them for about a year or so. Yeah, about a year. But always popular. £17.99, your price, and you're getting a lot. And as the name suggests, this is to play around, is to have a little bit of fun. We've also got the book. Right, we've got to talk about this book, because again, I remember when this was coming to fruition, £17.99 your price, you are getting hand-stitched landscapes and flowers by Katrina herself, and that is a fabulous price, it really is. And I'll tell you, we'll flick through the book, because I've got it in front of me here. You know, Katrina, when you pick up a book, and we have got, look, £15.29 is a phenomenal price. It really is. I've got it in my hand right now, and you know when you pick something up and instantly it feels like a good book? Yeah,
I mean, it's got a lot of colour in it. It's just because I like the colour. But there are 400 images of stitching in there. An international bestseller. Yeah, I mean, how wow is that, you know?
I love it. So tell me, what did you want to achieve with this book, Katrina?
Well, I wanted it to be a book that you could just pick up, pick parts of it out to if you're just starting out in it and doing some stitching, bit about basic equipment, what kind of threads to use. But actually sometimes just get inspiration from the pictures and the ideas that you can try out a stitch, or you can try out one of the 10 projects that are in there. And then obviously there are some 10 projects. 10 projects in there.
I would be inclined to go for one of the play along packs and your book, and you're good to go.
The play along pack, I mean, that was great. So you could look at stem stitch, or you could look at, you know, French knots. Take inspiration from the little images at the top of the page, and just have a go. And it's been great. People have really enjoyed. Yeah,
it's a really great book. Now, something else we're very busy for is organza. I think we're going to play with the organza.
We are going to play with the organza.
Lovely.
I mean, I just think the colours are just fabulous. The colours that we get here. So the first thing, which is quite obvious to me, is that you can cut and distort the organza, and you can fray the organza.
And you're saying sometimes the rougher the better?
sometimes be a bit mean to it, don't be too nice to it. So the fabric's woven, so sometimes it will have, you'll get a piece with the selvage on or the edge, and then the other it's a woven fabric, so it's going to tear well, but when you want it to fray, you want it to be on the bias. So on the bias, that's across on the stretchy part of the fabric, so you can just cut pieces, and this is what we do in quite a few of the kits as well. And then you're just going to distort that and really pull it apart, really pull that apart. Think messy. It doesn't work just by moving the organza. You've got to really distort the weave, and then you can place that on your background fabric and build up lots of layers and lots of different colours, and just play around the colours. As soon as you've got one colour, by putting another colour over the top, you get new colours, and that's great, and you'll get the texture there, which is really lovely. But the thing about having the larger pieces is that you can stitch with the organza. So if I just take a little piece of one of these, now you can either, it doesn't matter which way that you tear the organza, but if you're starting to stitch, make sure you cut quite well into it, then you've got enough to hold, and then you're just going to pull it apart.
Okay, lovely.
All right, and then that's your thread, if you like. So you can just smooth that. But if you didn't want to, tear it, you could cut a strip, just the same. And then you're just going to thread that through your needle, and you're just going to use it as a thread.
Different way of using the organza,
So that's quite a nice way of using it. So across the back, just get those bits out of the way. All that you do is you're just going to bring the needle, just check, because it's only a shorter length, longer lengths don't work as easily, and then just hold that there.
It's lovely on that tweed as well.
Glides through the tweed, but you can do the same thing on the white. You know, if you've got the fat quarter, it's quite nice to have to experiment and just add a couple of stitches, and you can build up a very quick. These are going everywhere. Look, there'll be organza everywhere. You know, once you start in your socks everywhere.
Oh, no. I have to say, Katrina's doing a very good job, because you suffered a bit of an injury this morning.
Yes.
So you were getting ready, and
I was getting ready to go and get toothpaste out of Ted's toiletries bag, and I cut myself on the razor. Oh. So I've got these plasters that'll be not very elegant.
But no, you don't worry about that. But
they're all right. Okay. So you can build up an area of stitching, and then of course, as well as that, it needn't necessarily be straight stitch. Just smooth the thread, just to get it and make it feel comfortable. Bring the thread up, and then you can, of course, work some French knots.
Lovely.
So
now, French knot with the organza, it creates the most beautiful rose-like effect.
It's lovely. So that you're just the same as before. You're just going to wind it round once, twice, or even just once, and you leave the thread quite loose, and it'll go through quite easily.
Right, so I've got to tell you, with regard to the organza,
well,
third of the stock has gone, and we are 18 minutes into the show, so proving really, really popular. This is what you are getting, a beautiful collective of organza. Now, it was funny, because I know you're talking to Emily, our producer, and you're saying, like, whenever you come on with organza, it's one of the first things to go. It
is, and I think it's something that it's fairly new that we've given people a pack of colours. But actually, it works really well, because you can change. You've got your own designs that you can use it for. And I just love the way you can just stitch with it. You can tear it. You can stitch with the pieces.
I mean, this is a real eye-opener. So creating our flowers, creating our stems, don't just see it as, obviously, we've, on time and time again, you've used it to great effect, creating a colour wash as a backing, but now we're actually using it as a thread and working with it in a totally different way.
And I think that, once you've got a little bit on there, you can build up the colours gradually. And then if you wanted to, I'm just going to cut the back. But you could stitch that flat with a thread, one strand of something, and that will keep it in place. You don't want it to come through to the other side. But that's a lovely way of doing it. Then you can angle the threads. And then here's one that I've worked at and just created. So this is just done with straight stitches radiating from one point, and then a few French knots at the base, and you've instantly created a flower.
That is beautiful. And look, I love that colour behind.
So pieces, just take little pieces and create the background. I stitched the flowers first and then put the background in, which is usually the other way around. And that will give that gives a really nice instant effect. See, it goes it goes everywhere.
Okay.
But a nice, easy way of working a flower.
Beautiful.
And then again, you can take a little piece of that, and you can just cut a strip and then concertina the whole flower, and then just pin that in place, and that's going to give you a texture. And you can have great fun just adding different layers in there and different colours, instant flowers.
It's kind of like a pinwheel type flower effect.
And then just add a couple of stitches there at the base, and you've got instant texture.
Nice.
Or if you're thinking of the poppies, poppies are just fabulous. Oh, and they lend themselves, don't they, to this thing. So you're just going to cut a small shape, like a petal shape.
Okay.
And then you take the shape, and it doesn't have to be perfect. You can then distort the edge a little bit all the way around. Okay. And so the beauty of this is you can mix the oranges and the purples and the pinks, and then you're going to concertina that, and instantly that forms a petal. Oh. So those are going, you can make that really
in the centre with the seeds.
Quite dramatic. And then to do a poppy, you just build that all the way around, and you'll get a really fabulous flower. You could wear. I think you could wear those flowers.
What in your mind, Katrina? What do you look for? What makes a good? Just having a look here. What constitutes a good sort of fabric?
Well, this fabric.
About the organza.
Yeah, I mean, I think the organza, because it's very lightweight. It's so soft. It can drape. It can fold. It can pleat, and it keeps its shape. And I just think it's a great medium. You can make fabulous patterns with it by burning it or as well,
So I've noticed, especially working at Hochanda, now I can appreciate a good organza as opposed to, I was out and about, not mentioning any names, but just saw some organza, and as you do, you touch it. It just felt a bit scratchy. It didn't feel here. It's soft, and I say it drapes beautifully. You get a sense when you get it home. It is a very nice organza to work with. You can see Katrina. Look, Katrina wouldn't bring it to you unless it was great quality.
So I think it's a perfect medium, just to experiment with, or take or even a landscape. You can create and change totally the colours of a landscape.
Oh yeah, easily.
Just by adding layers of organza.
Dramatic as well. So you can go think about seascapes, landscapes. You've got such a nice range of colours as well. So your brights, your florals. Got to tell you, we're approaching 50%. Actually, scratch that. We are now 50% of the stock for our organza. And this is only, Katrina. How many shows have we got today, Katrina? Got another one at 12?
Another
so
one
this
at
is
12.
only first live hour today. We're only 23 minutes into the show. Busy. So if you don't want to miss out on your organza, great time now to pop it into your basket. We have got queues on our phone lines. Really sorry if you are stuck in a queue. It's one of my bugbears. But our call centre are lovely. They're based right here in the same building as us. And when you get through to them, they really are such lovely people. So say hello from the team here when you get through to your call centre. If you don't want to wait, you can always jump the queue by going onto our website, hochanda.com.
Okay, so that would be, I think that's a fabulous way of using it. Okay. But then, as well as using some of the strips of the organza, what you can do is you can use another thread, and you can twist the organza, and you can make a finer. You can make a finer shape, and then you can pin that. And then you can do what's called couching. So you can take another thread
to go over it,
and that holds it in place. So you can make interesting patterns. And you're just going to take a thread, and you're just going to go over the top, and that's enough to hold that in place.
Oh, nice.
And I like the twists.
That's a nice effect, yeah.
So it could be grasses, it could be reeds.
Stems.
Stems on the. We've got a Cocosmia kit, and that's how some of the. That's how the different stems are done.
Okay.
But just fantastic. And then as you approach the top, you can take that out, and then you can fray and distort, and just make that really interesting.
Nice.
And leave it quite 3D.
That's a really nice effect. And when you consider what we've done in such a short pace of time, I know Katrina just wanted with the organza, just to give you an idea of technique. So we've couched it, we've twisted it and couched it, we've created our own flowers. You can use it to create your own larger sort of 3D poppies, your colour wash if you want as well. We've created more flowers up here, so your actual roses, which you can see, and your stems. I mean, it's such a versatile fabric.
It is.
I can see why you love it, and you really do love it.
I mean, I think the first time we decided to use it was with the Snowdrops, actually, because the fabric was green that we did the original on, and then we couldn't get hold of the fabric anymore. Okay. So I started to experiment with the fabric. Perfect.
Just works.
Just really good.
Now, would you mind if we just have a quick recap?
No,
back to you.
Right.
So we're just going to tell you a little bit about flexi orders, just another way you can enjoy your shopping experience here at Hochanda. Have a quick recap, and I promise we'll get straight back to Katrina.
Flexi order has arrived at Hochanda. What is Flexi order? When you place an item on FlexiBuy in your basket, you qualify for Flexi order, which means any other items you add to your basket will also be included in your FlexiBuy payments, so you can spread the cost over multiple monthly payments. After your first payment is made, your entire order will be dispatched. When you add at least £60 worth of any items to your shopping basket, either online or on the phone, you'll qualify for our Flexi Order offer. This means you can spread the cost of your order over equal monthly FlexiBuy payments, offering you the extra flexibility when you shop with us. Flexi Order, making your shopping experience with Hochanda easier.
Here we go, a little bit about Flexi Order. And actually, Flexi Order can be your friend on shows like this where there are so many goodies to be had. We're going to start with our organza. Now, look at first what strikes me, the colours that you're working with here, but they have a wonderful fascination to them because it's that iridescence, it's the quality, it just looks luxurious, decadent. You've got that wonderful shimmer from your organza. So imagine using this, your organza, to create the illusion of a lake, or maybe seas, or your skies. But because we've got lovely colours coming through, you've got your greens, you've got your blues, you've got your sort of pastels colours in the mix as well. Pastel's great for your flowers. You've got some earthier tones in the mix as well, so think about for your forests. And then, of course, we've got our greens and blues for our seascapes, our landscapes. All 10 large pieces, very, very busy for those. $10.99 your price, 118313 your item number. We are at 50% of the stock for our organza and climbing, really busy. Now, we're going to move on. Have a look at this, Bluebells and Wild Garlic. So now you're going to get appreciation with all these beautiful kits, just how original Katrina's designs are. All original designs and artwork from Katrina. So here, 20% of the stock has gone. And I love the play of texture and colour. How you've got that added motif that kind of pulls you into the design. $13.99 is your price here. And this is a good illustration when we say using organzas to create, you're effectively painting with your organza, adding your stitch work in there. It's a lovely piece, $13.99 your price. And what I do like, we've got some offerings, this being one of them, where size-wise, it's not too daunting, so this is a nice size to do. You get everything you need in the kits. Point out, one of the features with Rowandean is the fact that you do get your printed canvas there as well, your cotton. And that's effectively your base that you're going to build on, and then you get all your threads and everything you need to bring that design to life. And obviously you've got your organza on here with the motif. You've even got that print on the organza as well. Got to move on. $13.99 is your price. Now, one thing to point out, you can see frames. This is just for display purposes, so the kits do not come with the frame, so I need to point that out. Have a look at this. Winter Fields, working a slightly different way here, so you can see the threads are chunkier by design, and that's to give the effect. So you look at all those threads that you are getting in the mix. You're even getting some little wooden beads to add further texture to your piece. And obviously you've got your printed design, which you can see just down there, but have a look at this. Now let's just take a moment to enjoy this. The fields, the trees, the path, those elements around, the grasses, the wispiness of the grasses that you're getting in here, the texture, I mean, it is absolutely stunning. $29.95 your price if you do want to enjoy your Winter Fields kit. 274728 your item number. As we progress down, nettles in a hedgerow. So now we're back. You know, I was saying with the wild garlic, there's certain kits and they're a nice size. They're not too daunting. Perfect if maybe this is your first foray into the wonderful world that is Rowandean. Have a look at this. What strikes me, colour, detail, and you're only using, what Katrina likes to do with the kits, you're working with a few core stitches. So you don't have to, we're not working with hundreds and hundreds of stitches, so it's not too daunting. But that is stunning, and I would never have thought to incorporate nettles into a design, but Katrina is absolutely right, because those nettles are beautiful, and coupled with the flowers that surround them, the organza that gives you that injection of colour, but it's soft, it's muted, and it really brings the scene to life. $13.99 your price there, 463033 your item number. We've got another design for you, Snowdrops. Again, a really nice size to this. Thing with the Snowdrops, this is a slight difference with the Snowdrops, is having that dark background. It really allows the Snowdrops to pop. You appreciate the detail, the purity of the Snowdrops. And I love that lovely design as well. They're instantly identifiable as a Snowdrop. Beautiful, evocative, just jumping to life. So could you imagine that in your home? $13.99 is your price, 569118 your item number. You get everything you need in the kits. Each of the designs so different. And remember, for me, what makes Rowandean so special, it's Katrina's designs. They're all her own designs, all original, but also it's the enjoyment of actually doing the kits. Because I've heard myself saying, how great would it be hanging in your home? And they really would look fantastic in the home. But as crafters, we like to enjoy the actual process and the journey. Speaking of which, Midnight Garden. And what Katrina likes to do is add a little bit of a unique feature to each one of her kits. Now with the Midnight Garden, you've got a chunky knit in there, so a chunkier thread, but also those bugle beads coming through, the organza, everything about this. And using the organza in a different way, and as she was just demonstrating when we sat down with Katrina, so, I mean, that is a lovely, lovely piece. We have got these display hoops on our website, so imagine displaying this in your home, standing that in a room. It's going to be a talking point. $19.95 your price, 539024 your item number. This next one, well, do you know what's funny? Because this happens to be our most popular kit, and I'll be honest, I never sit on the fence here. I've got two standout favourites, and this is one of them, because what struck me as, and I became a viewer when we were looking at this, we shouldn't do it in the studio, but I found myself looking at the monitor, and it's the detail of the loop-ins with the colour palette as well, because it is so vibrant. You've got those beautiful organzas in the backgrounds. I mean, that is such a stunning, stunning little composition. A third of the stock has gone here. Have a look at this price though, because $13.99 is great, but look what happens if you're a Freedom member. $12.59. Are you kidding me? To do something like this is an absolute steal. It really is. The best investment you can make. 438560 item number. Look, you could go $12.59. I went out and had coffee and cake with my wife. And it came to, I think it was around about 12 something, for just literally a cup of coffee and some cake. And that was done in about 15 minutes. Think about the time you get to enjoy this, and then you've got, so it's doing it and displaying it in your home. 438560 your item number. Love it, and I'm not surprised that's one of our most popular options. Okay, something else. I told you I had two favourites. I really like this, and do you know what strikes me? The chickens or the hens, look at the realism that you're able to achieve, and that's just using a straight stitch, but the colours, it's having those different colours coming through. It is such a strong image. I love it. You really, really feel like you're being transported there. It's that gate. It looks like a rusty old sort of farm gate. You've got all that beautiful fields in the background. And also, have a look at those trees. I mean, that is just ridiculously good considering it looks, funnily enough, Emily, my producer, said they look painted when we first looked at this as we walked down the counter earlier on. And when she said it, in my mind, I was like, I totally agree. It does look painted. You've even got the little house nestled in the back there. I mean, stunning. The only word I can say is stunning. And if you were to have this in your home, I guarantee when someone comes in, they will ask you, where did you get that from? And then you have the enjoyment of saying, look, I did it. Watched a great channel, Hochanda, and then this was one of the kits, and I did this myself. $24.48 is your first flexi payment. Do like the fact we have got a flexi payment option on there. Now, if you were to have this in your basket, it creates a flexi basket, which means anything else, so say you want to put the organzas or anything else, you can take advantage of splitting the price and adding a flexi payment to those as well. So just sharing that with you. 988-865, your item number. Now, we do have some display hoops for you. Take a look. So we got 5, 6 and 7 inch display hoops. Perfect way, as the name suggests, to display your work. So these aren't working hoops, and I do need to stress that because obviously a lot of you might be aware of embroidery hoops, and we have actually got the spring-loaded ones that you can work with. These are purely for display purposes. $12.99 your price, but great solution if you're thinking, well, how can I display my work? Now we have got some working hoops for you too. We're just going to flash those on your screen. So you've got your 7 inch, 5 inch, and you've got the scissors, which I saw Katrina using actually. These are a nice pair of little scissors. Are they the same ones or different? Are they the same?
Yeah, they're really good.
So okay, so $15.99 your price. You're getting a beautiful little pair of embroidery scissors and the 2 hoops at 646-785 your item number. Oh, and there was a cheeky freedom price on there as well. And now the tweed fat quarters, $12.99. How many fat quarters? You're getting 1 fat quarter? 1? Okay, great. $12.99 your price, 331119 your item number. Right, how are we getting on?
Okay, we're doing well. We're doing really well.
Good.
We're looking at the bluebells and wild garlic.
Yeah.
All right, so this is another great use of organza. So I've got on here, there's a yellow, a green, and a darker green. And all I've done is place them over the print until I quite liked what they look like.
Okay. And it's nice, the sheer nature of them, you can still see that print clearly.
You can see the print. So then once you've got your print on there, you can start stitching.
Nice.
All right, so to start
I see you've
stitching,
done a little tacking stitch around. Any reason for that?
well, I think this one I've decided I was going to put it in a frame. So
okay.
I tacked the size of the aperture,
just so you knew,
just so
yeah,
that you're not going to lose your stitching.
Okay.
But I mean, or if you decide to put it on one of the display hoops, you know, you could make it bigger, the 6 inch, because it's 5, 6 and 7, isn't it?
I have to say, having that display hoop, putting that on there now, that looks phenomenal.
That instantly looks like a finished picture, doesn't it?
It looks really stunning.
That's
Those
really good.
display hoops, I think, are a good buy.
They are good.
Because a lot of the time we'll do the kits, and then it's thinking, well, how can we display them and get the most out of them? So
once you've got your design, the organzas are just tacked on. If you didn't want to, use the flower head pins to tack that in place, and then if you wanted to, you could tack temporary stitches just to hold. Okay. I haven't got time for that though. No. I just want to get on and stitch.
Fair enough.
So I'm just going to.
So I know that you put the needles, the chenille needles in there, so
chenille, larger head. So it's got a sharp point, large eye, and that's something that some people worry about. Well, can I thread the needle? If the needle's the eye's not big enough, it can get a bit frustrating before you start. We're doing it to chill. We're doing it to relax. Right. Okay, so the first thing, I'm just going to, most of this design is worked with straight stitches for the grasses. So I'm just going to add a few of those, and there is a print so you get the right size just to start off, and there'll be a mixture of textures, and you're just going to do straight stitches over the top, and then instantly you can get the idea that there are lots of grasses in there, Because we're not doing like a botanical study, you know, there's a lot of freedom there that you can add more straight stitches.
Do you know, every time I work with you, Katrina, it shows how knowledgeable you are and how passionate you are. Obviously, with the kits, are there instructions with the kits?
Oh yeah, it won't be a very good kit with it.
Okay. But no, just want to talk about the fact, and I was so pleased. Now, there's a really nice story behind this book. For those of you not aware, so because it wasn't that long ago, it was sort of like September?
It's February last year.
Was it February last year?
February launched the book.
Do you know, I've just lost a year, because I'll tell you why. I remember just before Christmas, when you hinted that a book was coming, but this was obviously a little while ago, and then the book's finally here. Look, as books go, this is phenomenal, and I always think, because it really is very personal to you. You can see how much of yourself you've poured into this book, and at that price, $15.29 for Freedom members. So you've got your education, you're getting 10 individual projects in here as well. If you are a fan of Rowandean, and you might already have a lot of goodies in your stash, this just allows you to really get such a great founding education on techniques.
I think that's, you know, what to do once you know a stitch, what can you do with it? And I think that's quite useful to get ideas from the book.
The pictures as well. I think, I was going to say illustrated, but you know, the photography in there is fantastic.
The photography is phenomenal.
One thing I would say, how much would you pay? I mean, look at this. How much would you pay to go to a craft class for an hour? If you went to a craft class for an hour or two and paid $15.29, you'd think you're winning. Here, you've got effectively a whole course, one-to-one, that you can come back to and refer. All of Katrina's years and years of knowledge just poured into this book. It is a beautiful book to have. It really is, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So anybody who is, and I know if you're watching right now, odds are you love your embroidery, you're a big fan of Rowandean, this is well worth looking at. I mean, I like the fact you have got those projects in the mix as well.
Well, I think that's something, then you're working with the stitches that are actually illustrated in the book, so
selling
great, really.
Around the world.
Well, it's in the States.
Yeah.
I did a webinar for American libraries to put it in the library, and that was I've never done anything like that before. That was great.
Amazing.
And then in Spanish and French.
Yeah, very good.
So that's really good.
Nice. Okay.
So really good. So you've got a couple of grasses. Now we're just going to use the same stitch. So sometimes you don't need to know hundreds of stitches. You can build up a design, and this is a fabulous variegated thread. And so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to do some little straight stitches to create the bluebells.
Nice. I like how you really do love to play with different textures. So we've got beads in there, you've got obviously your stitching, your embroidered detail, your organza, and they all just sing together. They enhance each other.
So you've got the small piece here. So as you're stitching, you're going to do the same thing to create the bluebells on the organza. So you can see
we can see that. Lovely.
See the print. And then once you've stitched the whole thing, then you can cut it out or melt it out. And then you're going to take your motif, and that's going to add
So I wouldn't have thought that was done on the organza.
So it just means that you can do as many layers, just in the same way as organza. You could have bluebells, and this is why I always give a large piece of fabric, because you know you could extend this design, and you've got a lot of organza in there and threads.
You are very generous with, and I'm really not just saying this. So anyone who's bought a kit will know that you will have a lot left over.
You'll definitely have loads left over, and if you move house, you've lost a bit. We'll send a little piece there. So it's a nice way of working, and then of course we've got some fabulous little beads there, and they just give that glint. Really, really nice. And so you'll get the needle for those in the kit as well, and it's a milliner's needle and a special thread, so that the thread doesn't stretch. So as you're stitching, the beads don't fall, so they'll stay in the position that you put them in there, which is great.
And look, it's that attention to detail that with all your kits, you can see that it just goes back to the fact that it's a knowledge. You've got that foundation that you're pouring into your kits. And
then of course, French knots are lovely. Let's just add a few of those in that blue. All right, so to do the French knot without the organza, so you can see this. So you hold the thread about 1 centimetre, fairly taut, and then you're going to wind it round once, twice, and then as you tilt the needle point down almost into the same place, but sort of like one thread over, and then as soon as you've thread that, just tighten that thread, and that just keeps the thread around the needle.
And that's the real key to this.
And then pull, as soon as you've got the thread through, let it do its own thing, and it'll guide itself in there. You don't need to guide it in any way.
Perfect French knot.
So that's perfect. And you can
actually
make
taught me my first French knot.
I remember. It's such a good stitch, and I think you can watch it and just it's just so good.
What's the difference? And this question I hear get asked a lot. Difference between a French knot and a bullion knot, because they're similar in principle, but there is obviously a difference.
A bullion knot is much flatter.
Yeah.
All right, so if I can remember how to do one of those. So you could take the thread without stitching it into that plaster and wind it round. So you're almost making like a sausage shape with the thread. So let's get that pin out the way. So you're just going to wind around a couple of times. The small one, and as you pull the thread forward, then you take it back and it forms a long sausage shape.
Okay.
All right, so it's much longer and thinner, whereas the French knot sits higher.
Yeah. And going around, you'd think, going around to someone maybe new to French knots, think, oh, I'll go around a few more extra times and it'll be bigger. It doesn't, it just gets taller.
No, it changes the shape, so I think it's better just go 2 or once round.
Yeah, okay.
And then if you want to make it loose around, you can make it loopy.
Yeah.
You can make the thread. And it's not one that's gone wrong.
Nice.
It's one that's nice and neat.
It's just, and the key to that is just not holding it taut.
That's right.
Thread, yeah.
And then in quite a few of our designs, I think definitely in the book, you'll find long-legged French knots. So it's the same process, except you take a stem. So you could add texture there.
You got templates in the back of the book.
Oh yeah, you can
I'm just
trace your design.
I'm just having a look here. So you've got designs that you can trace as well, and this is all in the back of the book.
Perfect, because you can make them the size that you want.
Yeah.
Or you can do them the size that.
That's very cool.
There are packs that you can get, for the book.
We've got this project in here.
See, that's it. That's the actual one that's in the book.
Well, wait, I've got to find this. I don't suppose you know which page.
No.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Look at that. So this is one of the projects, and we've got a finished example here. And it's funny because I was looking at it, thinking how beautiful. So you can see that there, and if I just pick this up, because it's got a lot of threads on it, but look at that butterfly. So this gives you just for this one project alone, I would happily buy this.
Yeah, there's a lovely little garden, and you can experiment with the stitches, and then have a useful thing. Use it in your workroom.
That butterfly, once you've made one of those, you put it on everything.
Butterfly, I do like butterflies.
Yeah.
You've noticed, really.
Yeah, well.
Okay, so once straight stitch, we're almost, the basis of this design really is straight stitch. So once I've got a few stitches on there, I'm just going to add a few more just to create a little bit of shadow at the bottom of the design. And you can see that appearing gradually. You don't want to cover all of the organza. I think it's nice to have some of that showing. Okay. But now that we've got the display hoops, we didn't have those before. I think they would look great in those.
Yeah. You've got 8 minutes left, so we're good for time.
Okay. And you can just build that up.
Nice. And it does build up very, very quickly.
And it's never wrong. That's the thing. People worry. You just work the stitches and enjoy the stitches. That's the main thing. Yesterday, I think it was yesterday, I worked with a group of people. Some had done stitching, and a lot of Hochanda viewers, and some hadn't done a lot of stitching. And by the end of it, they loved it. And one of the things that they did say, it's really very calming.
Yeah.
And you could, a busy day at work was an evening workshop. So you've been at work all day, and then you sit down and you just get totally absorbed into the craft, and that's good. That's
we're
good.
talking about, we craft because we enjoy it. So you want to do something, and this is time for yourself. If you just want to take on a project that it's going to be a real joy to do, but ultimately, end of it, because paper crafting, we can make a beautiful card, and there is something so satisfying about giving that card to someone, but then it's gone. Here, I mean, you can give it away, but I'd be sorely tempted to invest that time, display it in your home, and then it's just a lovely little talking point.
Absolutely. And I think it's the sort of thing you can just put in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And just admire it. You know,
kitchen, I can imagine a guest room, a living room, fridge. Conservatory. You could put also, and you pointed this out because we showed the display hoop, so you can put it in a frame. But what about on a bag? I mean, if you've got a bag
would be great.
You'd have the most original bag. A cushion as well. Oh, look at this. So it gives you a principle. Same thing, just putting your design onto a cushion. So that could be a feature on a cushion. Absolutely fantastic.
I'm just going to move that out the way.
Look at this one. Little pheasant. We were talking about pheasants today. There we go.
But those are see the fabrics? The fabrics are there in the fat quarter. I think we'll perhaps at lunchtime we'll perhaps do a little bit more. But we've got great fat quarters that you can put your embroidery on. So that's the duck egg colour, I think it is.
Now look at that as a feature cushion, or it could be a bag, it could be in a frame. You've got possibilities. Right.
Okay, I'm going to show another little one that I think's really, really good, and that's the delphiniums.
Lovely. Love delphiniums.
So again, you see, look, you've got your fat quarter, you've got your collection of organzas, change the background. Yeah. So that, you know, it's got lots of possibilities.
Nice. Speaking of the organzas, now we have got that option for those 10 beautiful organzas. Very, very busy on those. So we're going to show you what you're getting. All 10 of those large pieces, assorted colours coming through for your organza from Rowandean. This is actually the wrong. There we go. Sorry, what we showed you. There's the organza. 118313 item number. You're just getting the organza. Apologies, the computer moved forward and showed you some other pictures there. Okay. Right. So now this is our delphiniums.
So this is our delphiniums design, and so it's got a basic outline on the fabric.
Is this from the Midnight Garden?
Yeah.
Yes, Midnight Garden.
Midnight Garden, yeah, and the different delphinium flowers. So this is a really fabulous way, fabulous straight stitch to create the design. But what I wanted to show is a little bit of the organza to make the flower. So this time I've just cut a centimetre square, and I'm just going to fold it into 4. And then you're just going to take one of the pins and you're going to just pin it in place, and then you can use a little bit of thread and just a straight stitch, and you're going to build the flowers up there. So the organza, again, using the organza, very easy to do, and just take a little bit of the thread, and then a couple more stitches if it springs up too far. And that's it. It's so easy. It's so easy to do.
But effective, and it's a good illustration of how you can work with your organza different ways. As we continue with that, I've just got the finished Midnight Garden, so this is what your project will look like. Well, I say will, obviously each one's going to be unique because you've got that artistic scope, but it's the play with the organza, the threads, the beads in there as well, giving it that little glisten to the project. I think that is just a lovely piece, and I really do like the tweed, the contrast with the purity of that tweed with all the colours that you're getting as well. Really earthy tones. Lovely. And
it's the beauty of it as well. Both the cotton and the wool are nice to hold. Yeah. And the cotton takes heavy threads as well, which I quite like.
Now, as we continue on, time is beating us, so just to give a quick reminder, you can follow Rowandean on social media, so on Facebook and on Instagram, and I know that Katrina and Ted love seeing your pictures.
Great, it's lovely. And lots of people do, so you can
have a look. And you do a lot of
look.
posting as well. Please, if you haven't already done it, if you are on Instagram, please give Rowandean a follow, and of course on Facebook as well, because you're always posting pictures when you're out and about.
Of where we are, and people we meet, and yeah, it's good. And when the gardens, when the Rowandean Garden's alive and growing again, there'll be lots of pictures from that too.
Well, I follow you, so do
That's
follow
great.
suit. And feel free if you want to give me a follow as well. I always give everyone a follow back.
So I'm just adding a few lazy daisies here.
Nice. So just
create
talk
the
us through a lazy
petals.
daisy if anyone's not done one before.
Lazy daisy, it's almost like the start to a chain stitch. So you bring the thread up, and then you hold the thread out of the way, and then you just take the needle. You take the needle back into the same place, and then you're going to bring the needle out at the end of the petal.
Right.
You're just going to tuck the thread underneath, so that as you pull the thread, you'll get a loop of a chain.
You're kind of locking it,
and then just go over the thread, and that's going to keep it in place.
Perfect. And I do like how you with different projects you change up the sort of thread, so this slightly chunkier thread.
Yeah, I think there's a whole range in this fabric with flowers on the sort of display hoops, but I have used lots of texture, and that's quite nice, I think, because some people, if you haven't got a lot of time, you want the project, you don't want it to last for years and years. You want to do it.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
yeah.
so I like to use different threads that create different textures that are fun to do, but they're not going to take forever.
Yeah.
You know, we've all got busy lives, and I love the idea that you can sit down lunchtime or whatever and just create something. Creating something is just lovely.
Unfortunately, time has beaten us, Katrina. Have you had fun?
Yeah, I don't. You know, the time. Where does it go?
It absolutely
It's
flies.
amazing.
So Katrina will be back at 12 o'clock. What are we going to be doing at 12? Do you know?
We've got all the projects.
Yes,
So we've got lots. We've got
more.
play around packs
You've
to
got
develop.
beautiful
We've
ones,
got more back quarters to look at.
So we won't be shy of stuff to do.
No.
Brilliant.
There's lots to do.
I really hope you can join us. Now, if you have just tuned in, you're like, no, I wanted to watch it out. Don't worry, because the beauty of Hochanda is that we have a back catalogue of 60 days worth of shows. So what you can do is you can go just search for the dates, obviously put in today's date, our show time, and then you're able to revisit any show here at Hochanda for the last 60 days. Katrina will be back at 12 o'clock. We're going to have another fantastic hour. Thank you so much, Katrina. I've enjoyed it. It's been too long since we've got to hang out.
I know.
I really hope you've enjoyed it as well. We've got plenty more, though, coming up here at Hochanda. We're going to be taking a look, our first look today, at our one-day special. Just a moment.